Okay, moving on to question number 5. Okay, and this is to do with JavaScript over here. So over here, they say everyone for sport wants to improve the functionality of its website. It wants to implement, and it says there are two things that it wants to implement. So an events results page that displays the details of the athletes who took part in the 100-meter sprint event and the winner. Okay, this is the first thing that needs to be done. And the second thing is a page that allows the user to select an event type and display information relevant to that type of event. This is the second requirement of the question. Okay, so all of the files that are required are in your Q05 folder. Okay, no additional resources are required. You only need to add JavaScript and comments to the existing files. So we're going to start off with the events results page. Events results.html contains an early prototype. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to open it up and I'm going to save it as events results finished. Okay, so then that part is done and out of the way. So over here in my folder, I have question 5, event results. I'm going to drag and drop it into Sublime Text. So I'm going to go into start. I'm going to open up Sublime Text. And I'm going to do a drag and drop of event results over here. And I'm going to save this as file, save as events results finished. And the .html part would be inserted by Sublime Text itself. Okay, so event results finished. Let me also open that in Google Chrome. So event results finished. I'm also going to open it up in Google Chrome. And this is the output that I see on my screen. Okay, so there is a heading, there is a table, there is a form. Okay, let's go through the question paper. So the question paper says when the event results page is loaded, an automated method must display the details of the athletes who took part in the 100-meter sprint. So I think that's already being displayed. These are the athletes that took part in the 100-meter sprint. But you can see there's a small problem over here. The timing is appearing over here, and this is blank over here. Something is not right somewhere. We could see. Next, it says find the athletes with the fastest time, and then display the details of the athletes with the fastest time. So I think those details need to come over here. So let's get moving. So if you were to go and have a look at our code, let's have a look at the HTML part of it. So this is the HTML heading. Then you have your table opening up. This is your table row. Okay, this row has all the headings, athlete number heading, school heading, athlete heading, time heading. All the headings are there. Okay, and then inside your head, further down, okay, after the heading is done, further down in the table body, JavaScript code has been written to get these values. The athlete number, the school, the athlete and time have been generated into the table body using this JavaScript code. Okay, we'll try and understand it later on. For now, what did we understand? The headings have been inserted using HTML, but then the remaining rows of your table, okay, the athlete's number, the athlete's name, the timing, the school, these values, let me zoom in a little more. The values over here, these values over here have been inserted using JavaScript. So for loop has been written and values have been inserted. Then when we move further down, we see there is an HTML form that has been created. This form has an ID called race inno, and this is the label fastest time. It's referring to this particular label here. Then there are input fields, and all the input fields you would notice are disabled, which means the user cannot type values inside them. And every input field is having an ID as well. You can see over here, athlete num, athlete name, okay, athlete school. So every input field is having an ID as well. And then again, we have JavaScript opening up, and there is some JavaScript coding over here. So let's go from the top. At the top, what does it tell us over here? At the top, you can see this is your table section, okay? This particular section, which was generated using JavaScript, okay? I forgot to also mention to you that right at the top, we have a 2D array. We have a 2D array over here. And in this array, this is the first row. This is the second row. This is the third row. And then you have your fourth row. Okay, and if you look at this 2D array, column number 0 always has the athlete's ID number. Column number 1 always has the school. Column number 2 always has the athlete's name. And column number 3 always has the timing of the athlete. Okay, so let's get started. Let's get moving. So over here, you can see over here, they have given a comment that this is the code where the athlete number is written to the table. So how did they get the athlete number written to the table? This is the code that was used. Then the school, how did they get the school written to the table? This is the code that was used. Okay, so you can see over here, document.write, it's referring to the table data cell. Inside the table data cell, it has to concatenate with athletes. The row number is given by the row variable, and the column number will always be 0 because the school is all, sorry, this code is for this sentence, isn't it? Okay, so let's look here. The school is always in column number 1, isn't it? The school is always in column 1. You can see the school is always in column 1. So now they're asking you to write the code to get the athlete's name. So the examiner has already given you a hint of how it's done. So all you need to do is copy and paste this code and modify it to the column number which has the athlete's name. So let's get that done. So I'm going to simply copy and paste this code. That would make my life a lot easier. So Control C, Control V. I'm looking for the athlete's name. So the row number will be given to me by the variable row. Okay. And the column number for the athlete's name is always in column. This is 0, this is 1, this is 2. It's always in column number 2. So I'm going to add over here. It needs to go into column number 2. Okay. And the time, the examiner has done the coding for time. Okay. He's taking the value from column number 3. Okay. So the table is now complete. Let's see how the output is. Control S. Let's go and refresh our code. And you can see now the values are properly appearing in their places. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you. The values are now properly appearing in their places. Okay, so I hope this code made sense to you. If it didn't, stop the video, go through it, talk to yourself, tell yourself what every line of code is. Okay, I'll just quickly go through it. Okay, over here, what are we doing? We're accessing the rows. Okay, so here we access the row. Then what do? We go into the first cell, TD is table data. And what do? We take the athletes, we access the athletes array. Give me 1 second, please. We access the athletes array. And the row number is given by variable row. Okay, so at the beginning, it will be row 0. It will go into row 0 and take the value in column 0. So row 0, column 0 is 0. Then it comes and goes to the next cell. The next cell, it will go into the athletes array. The row number is 0. It will go into row 0 and take the value in column 1, which is this. So here the school gets recorded. Then it goes to document.write. It goes to the next cell. It goes into the athletes array. Row number is right now 0. Column number 2. Column number 2 is the student's name. Okay, it takes the value. Then it goes to the next row. Or not the next row, the next cell. It goes into the athletes array. Row number is currently 0. And it takes the value from column index number 3 here, which is 12.1. So then what happens is these values are now inserted in the second row of your table. Now remember, this is a for loop, no? So it will go up again. When it goes up again, the row value will increase by 1. So 0 will then become row is equal to 1. So then again, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. It will keep going until it reaches the athlete's array's length. Okay. Right. So I hope this makes sense to you. We then move on to the next part. Okay. And when I scroll down, I immediately notice there's a problem over here. Here, the double quotes have been closed, but have not been opened. So if you look over here, in this particular area over here, we are supposed to record, we are supposed to display the details of the fastest athlete. We are supposed to display their time, then the athlete's number, then the athlete's name and the school. Now, when you look at this table, you can easily identify that it is Mobin Trekker, isn't it? Mobin Trekker has the fastest time. So his details need to automatically appear over here. Now, what you need to do is you need to create a loop, a for loop that will go through every single value in the array, find the shortest time, and then record those details. Sounds confusing. Let me show you how it works. So over here, the examiner has already created some variables. Okay, num runner is equal to 0, fastest time is equal to 100. You can see he has created these variables for you. Now I need to go through every value in my array, or rather I need to go through every time in my array and see what is the shortest time. So what I'm going to do is, since I want to go through every element or every row in my array, I'm going to be using a for loop. So over here, I'm going to say for, I'm going to have a variable called row. Okay, for variable row. At the beginning, it's equal to 0. Okay, after every, and I want this for loop to run as long as row is less than the length, is less than the length of the array, athletes array. Now the athletes length, the athletes array length has been stored in the variable num runners. You guys can see it, athletes.length, the length of this array has been stored in the variable num runners. So as long as the variable row is less than num runners, I want it to keep running. And after every loop, I want row to increase by 1. So I'm going to say row increase by 1 after every single loop. Okay, right. So now let's get started. Now, in every loop, in every iteration, what do I want to do? This is what I want to do. I want to see what is the lowest timing we have. So now where is that value stored? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if variable fastest time, right now fastest time is equal to 100. Okay, so I'm going to check if fastest time is less than, sorry, I made a mistake. I'm going to see, I'm going to access the array now. I'm going to access the array and I'm going to access this time and I'm going to see if it's smaller than fastest time. So what do I do over here? If athletes, okay, athlete, the row number will be defined by variable row. The column number of the time is always in column number 2 or 3. I don't remember. So 0, 1, 2, 3. The time is always in column 3. So if the time is less than the variable fastest time, if it is less means this is even faster, right? Then what do I want to do? I want to start recording these details so that I can display it later. So then if it is less than, I need to get that time. And I need that time to be stored inside the variable fastest time. So what do I do over here? If it is true, then fastest time is going to be equal to athlete row, and then you have your column number. Okay, if it is less than, then I want that value to be stored inside the variable fastest time. Then I also need to know the ID number, the name, the school, those details also need to be recorded. No? So then what do? I'll take variable athlete number is going to be equal to athlete. Row number will be given to me by the variable row, and the column number will be 0 because athlete number is always in column 0. Then I also need to know the school. So variable school will be equal to, again, going to the athlete array. Row number will be given by row, and the school is always in column number 1. Am I correct? The school is always in column number 1. So it takes a value from column 1. And then I also need to store the athlete's name. So athlete is equal to athlete array. Row number will be given by the row number variable. And the school is always in column number. Sorry, the athlete's name is always in column number 2. 0, 1, 2. In row number 2. Okay. So the moment I find the fastest athlete, all these details will be recorded in these variables. Then I need to then start printing the values in this variable into my form over here. Into this form over here. I need to start printing the values into this form that is present over here. So then what do I do over here? add your code. So now the fastest time has already been printed. It's referring to the fastest variable, fastest time variable. Then I'm going to access the next, which is the now fastest is already taken. This input field is already done. I'm now going to move on to this input field, athlete num. So I can copy and paste, Control C, Control V. I'm accessing the input field, athlete num. Athlete num. Dot value, it's athlete num, right? It's athlete num. In this field, which variable should be there? The variable athlete number. Then in the next field, what is the next field we have? The athlete's name field, athlete name. I'm going to copy this. In the athlete name field, which variable has the athlete's name? Variable athlete. Then I need the, what's the next field? The next field is a school. Okay, so let me copy and paste this. Over here, school. This is the, sorry, athlete school. Athlete school. The variable which has a school is called school. Okay, is there anything else? That's it. So I have now told for each of these input fields, what value needs to appear inside it. I have now defined it. So let's see if my code works when I save it. When I save it, I'm going to come and refresh my code. And for some reason, the values are not appearing over here. Let's check and see what went wrong. So oh, we have a problem over here. This is anyway inside. That's okay. Let's go from the top. Variable row, as long as row is smaller than num runners. Okay. If athlete row 3 is smaller than fastest time, okay, school row 1, athlete is equal to row 2, fastest dot value is equal to fastest time. Where did I go wrong? Okay, let me just for now make this a comment because I want to see up to here if it's working. Let me just make it a comment over here. Okay, now let me refresh my code. So the problem is starting from our for loop itself. Okay, so let me go and have a look at the for loop. I have said for variable row. At the beginning, it's equal to 0 as long as variable row is smaller than num runners. Increase row by 1 each time. That is also okay. If athlete row column number 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. If column number 3 is smaller than the fastest time, then variable fastest time is equal to the athlete. Oh, the name of this array is athletes. So I have been making a mistake here. It's athletes, 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 athletes. And here also we say athletes. Okay, so now that should be all right now. So when I refresh, it still doesn't work. Okay, let's keep working on it. Something is still not right. Fastest time is equal to athletes row 3. Athletes. Okay. Where could I be going wrong? So let me just make this a comment again and see where the problem is starting from. Okay, let's see if the for loop is working. Oh, not from here. Let's start from here. It's the entire for loop is having a problem. Let's go one by one and see where this problem is. So, yeah, what we have missed out over here is, if you see over here, my athletes S is missing over here. Okay, so if I have missed out an S over here, I have not mentioned the array name properly. If athletes. So now when I come here and refresh my results, there you go. You can see the results are now appearing on my screen. Okay, so here it's showing me the fastest time, the athlete's number, the athlete's name, and the school details are appearing. Okay, so this code is working for me now. Okay, I hope you can also try it out on your own. So let me just check the question and see if there's anything else that I need to complete. Nope, there isn't anything else that I need to do over here. I have displayed all my values. Okay. All right. I'm going to move away from here. Then I'm going to now move on to my events web page, and I'm going to first save it as eventsfinish.html. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to go into my folder. I'm going to take up Sublime Text. I'm going to do a drag and drop, events drag and drop over here. And I'm going to save this as file save as events finished, and .html will be added by my web browser itself. So I click on save. After clicking on save, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up events finished in my web browser. And this is the output that I see on my screen. There's a drop-down menu, but when I select a value from it, I don't have any output as such taking place. So the question paper tells me when the event page is loaded, the event type combo box is displayed. The track event combo box should be hidden, and the field event combo box should also be hidden. When an event type is selected by the user, an automated method must display the track combo box if the user selected the track event type. Display the field combo box, if the user selected the field event type. Complete the prototype. So what they're basically saying over here is, depending on the value that the user selects, the relevant form should appear over here. Now, if you go and have a look at your HTML code, let's go to the HTML side over here. You can see body on load, a function called hide compose is taking place. And inside hide compose, it is hiding two forms. Okay, the track events form and the field events form. .style.display equal none. So it's hiding two forms as soon as the web page loads. What are the two forms? This is the track events area form. It's being hidden. And this is the field events form, which is being hidden. As soon as the page loads, here it says hide compose. On load, hide compose function should run. And if you read inside hide compose, they have said hide these two div boxes. So then it goes on to say on change. So in this drop-down menu, in this particular drop-down menu, on change, the get event function should run. Okay, and over here they have defined how get event should work, and you're supposed to complete it. So inside this drop-down menu, you can see there are three options. Okay, select the event type, track, and field. Select the event type has a value of track, track has a value of track, and field has a value of field. Okay, and then below that, there are two other drop-down menus, but they are temporarily hidden. Okay, they are temporarily hidden, not shown. Now, your requirement is if the user chooses track, automatically this should become visible. When the user chooses field, this should automatically become visible. So that's what we're going to do right now. So over here, you can see the get event function is there, and get event happens when? Get event happens when there is a change on change. When there's a change in this drop-down menu, then get event function starts to run. So let's come over here. You can see variable event is equal to document.getElement by ID event type. So variable event is equal to event type ID. So event type, this one. So the variable event is equal to this entire drop-down menu. This drop-down menu has an ID of event type, no? So variable event is equal to this entire drop-down menu. I hope that makes sense, okay? The ID of this drop-down menu is event type. So you can see document.get element by ID event type is equal to the variable event. Then the examiner has also given you another code where he says variable option chosen is equal to event.options, and then he's opening up square brackets and saying event.selected index.text. Now, you may have never learned this and you may not remember what this means. Okay, so let us first see what is the equivalent of this value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print an alert of option chosen. So I can see what is the value that's appearing in option chosen, because I do not know what option chosen means. Okay, and there's a high chance that you also might not know what it means. The examiner has put something unusual over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an alert of option chosen so that I know what is the value that's getting recorded inside it. Okay, so as soon as the user makes a choice, the choice will get recorded inside the variable. Sorry, as soon as the user deals with this drop-down menu, the event type drop-down menu, whatever value he chooses will get saved inside the variable event. Then there is something happening with option chosen. I don't know what it is, but option chosen is going to be equal to something. I want to know what is that something. So what I'm doing is I'm putting an alert. Print whatever, or not print, display whatever option chosen is equal to. So let's see how it works. I'm going to save it and I'm going to refresh it. Now, when I choose track, the alert says track, capital T track. When I say field, the alert says field with a capital F. So now I know F is option chosen. Now what I did understand is that option chosen is either going to be equal to this one or this one. We just saw it, right? We just saw it getting displayed on our screen, isn't it? So what I'm going to do now is if the user chooses track, this div box needs to be displayed. If he chooses field, this div box needs to be displayed. So what am I going to do over here? So let me remove this alert now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run an if statement now. If option chosen is equal to track, then what do I want to do? If it's track, then I want to access the track div box, which is equal to track events. So then I'm going to say document.get element by ID. The ID is track events. Okay. .style.display is equal to block. I want it to be displayed. Okay, previously it was hidden. They said none. Now I came here and said block. I want it to be displayed. Then I'm going to open up another if condition. If, let me copy and paste this. If the chosen track is equal to field, then I want field events combo, what you call div box, to be displayed. So let's see how this works. Control S. Let's come and refresh it. When I choose track, you can see the track combo box is appearing. Okay, let's refresh. When I choose field, the field combo box is appearing. So it's working so far. However, if I were to click over here, track, now you can see both are being displayed. Isn't it? You can see now if I choose field over here, field remains and also track is also remaining. Okay, so what needs to happen is you need to modify your code saying when track events are being displayed, then the field events need to be blocked, need to be hidden, none. So I'll just copy and paste this and say, when this is being displayed, automatically the field events div area should not be visible, none. And then when this is being displayed, this area should be none. Equal none. Now let me come and refresh my code. So now you can see I have chosen track. Track is only visible. If I change it now to field, you can see only field is visible. Track is hidden. Okay, so now my code is working as expected by the examiner. Okay, so let's go ahead. Anything else to be done? Complete the prototype. Okay, so I'm going to click on save and we're going to move down to our next question over here. So save. I'm done with that. We then move on to our next question, which is over here. It then says, okay, so this is your essay type question. Effective layout and a visually appealing design enhance the user experience of a web page. A mock-up of the Everyone for Sports web page was provided as a PDF file in the assets folder in question 4. Assess the effectiveness of the use of design principles in this mockup. You should consider at least 2 of these principles: visual hierarchy, the flow, the color theory, balance and contrast. Refer to evidence from the mockup to support your answer. So shall we have a look at which one? Question 4's prototype. We did look at it earlier when we were doing the HTML question. So this is the prototype we have. And not prototype, sorry, the mockup. Okay, so this is the mockup. Let's open it up. And this is what we do see over here. So now over here, they have told us, talk about the effective designs. Okay, talk about its designing principles. Assess the effectiveness of the use of design principles in this mockup. So I'm sure you have already learned of these various principles. They have told we need to consider at least 2. I will try and maybe use these first 3. I'll try and use, okay? And maybe balance and contrast, I wouldn't use. So let me get my text box over here and I'm going to start writing my answer over here. So in terms of visual hierarchy is where you use size, you use font color, font styling, alignment, proximity, white space. You use these various factors to arrange the content of your web page. Okay, so for example, if something is important and you want the user's attention to go to it immediately, you would make it much bigger. You would keep it right at the top. If you want the user to focus on something, the amount of white space you would keep around it would be a lot. Okay, so these are various tools or objects that you can work with in order to adjust, in order to control what the user focuses on. That is what we call visual hierarchy. Let me just quickly show you a quick note about it. I'll just quickly show you a quick note about it. So if you go into designing of web pages, we do have something called visual hierarchy, which is over here. Okay, I went too far. Yeah, visual hierarchy can be controlled by size, color, alignment, proximity, white space. You can use these tools in order to control your visual hierarchy, to to give importance to various elements in your web page. So I'm going to get started with that. I'm going to draw a text box here and I'm going to say over here, number 1, what shall I talk about? So we can start off with that, various font sizes have been used. Okay. Various font sizes have been used. Okay, right. I'll get started off with that. You can say, in terms of visual hierarchy, in terms of visual hierarchy, various font sizes have been used to clearly show the user or to show the audience what is the main heading, comma, what is the subheading and the paragraph text. Okay, so using visual hierarchy, all of them have different sizes. So we have clearly shown what is the main heading, what is the subheading, and the paragraph text. What else can I talk about? What else can I talk about in terms of visual hierarchy? We can also talk about, so we have color. Color might be a bit difficult right now to talk about. Okay, and alignment could be spoken about. Okay, we could also talk about further alignment has been used to have the user immediately notice important information. Okay, for example, the main headings of the web page have been center aligned, have been center aligned, have been center aligned, so that the user notices the heading as soon as they see the web page. Okay. Anything else you would like to talk about? We could, okay, I think that's enough in terms of visual hierarchy. Right, let's move on to the next part where we are going to talk about flow. Now, in terms of flow, I'm not very happy with how the mockup has been arranged. Flow is where you arrange content based on how the user is going to be reading your web page. So you can see over here, you have your headings, but then over here, you have two columns over here. Normally, how do users read? Left to right, and they go downwards, right? We call that the F flow. Now here you have a column here and you have another column over here. So the user needs to read this and then come on to this column. Okay, the flow is not very smooth for them. Sometimes they might not even notice this last year's competition information. Higher chance of them noticing it it'll be easier for them to follow it if it was placed at the bottom of this area. Okay, so we can talk about the flow. We can say the heading flow is okay. You have the logo, the company name, the company slogan. Okay. We can say in terms of flow, in terms of the flow of the web page, the header area content has a proper flow with the logo placed at the top left of the web page and the company name in the top right, followed by the competition name and slogan. Okay, this area, okay, we have already said it has a proper flow. However, when we come to the column area, when it comes to the column area, since two columns containing two articles have been placed next to each other, the reading flow of a user, the usual reading flow of a user may cause them to not notice which column do we have next? The last year's competition. May cause them to not notice the last year's competition text. It is recommended to have this column placed below the mini Olympics column. Okay, so that the usual F style flow of a user can be followed. Okay, so in terms of flow, we were not very happy with it and we suggested a change that needs to be done to it. I'm then going to mention one more thing. In terms of the color theory, we can talk about, so if I were to show you the guys the color wheel, let me quickly show you. Let me first mention that for the color theory, Let me stop this here. For the color theory, reference to the color wheel should be done. Okay. So what are the theories we have? So first, if you come over here and have a look at the color wheel, this is the color wheel that we have. And we have something known as complementary colors. Complementary colors are colors that are opposite each other. Okay. And these colors can be used for backgrounds and font colors, because reading text on complementary colors becomes very easy. Okay. So over here, you can see over here, I've mentioned complementary colors. Colors that are opposite each other in the wheel are known as complementary. For example, yellow and purple. Okay, these are complementary colors. If you have a purple background with yellow text on them, reading on it becomes easy. Or purple on a yellow background, reading becomes easy because these are completely opposite colors. Okay. So can make an item stand out. So in our web page, if you were to look at the mock-up, if you see over here, this blue and this purple, if I were to put it into our color wheel, the blue and the purple, not really. If you were to take this brown and black, gold and black, gold is somewhere over here, black is somewhere over here, kind of complementary colors. Okay, also colors that are next to each other are known as analogous colors. Okay, where do we use analogous colors? Are used because they blend well together. These colors are reasonably similar and create a pleasing effect when used together. So what shall we mention over here? We can say for the color theory reference, the color wheel should be done. And the first thing that we can talk about over here is we can talk about if I were to look here at this pink and so you can say for the color theory, what did you first talk about? Complementary colors. Complementary colors should be used to make important information stand out. Okay. Further, analogous colors, sorry, let me take that the next line. Analogous colors should be used with similar content that is next to each other. Okay. So here we can talk about which part of the web page can we refer to the color theory. If I were to look over here, we can talk about the background color of the paragraph and the text are using complementary colors, makes reading easy. So let's mention that over here. The text on the columns and their background colors and their background color appear to be very close to complementary colors. And so reading this text makes it somewhat easy for the users. However, in the header area, analogous colors have been used, similar colors. Okay. So if you were to look over here, look at the header area, analogous colors have been used. Okay. Okay. Especially you can see the hyperlink and the background. The chances of a user noticing it can be a bit low. However, in the header area, analogous colors have been used with the font and background color, especially noticing of the hyperlink in the header area could be quite difficult. Okay. So I have mentioned a few theories. You can keep adding to this because they're giving you a total of 12 marks, if 9 marks. They're giving you a total of 9 marks. So you could add more to this. For now, I have referred to 3 theories. I spoke about the visual hierarchy, the flow, and the color theory. I didn't take balance and contrast. Okay, I had referred to these 3. And this is the answer that I have come up with. Okay, so we have come to the end of this paper. This is the end of this paper. I hope this video did benefit you. Okay, I hope you did learn from it, and I hope you really did find it useful. Okay, so until we meet again, take care. All the very best with your preparations for your AS level exams. Take care.